from the very early days, right from the period of English rule to a great extent French and Portuguese rule in India, the Englishmen were willingly trying to divide India, divide Hindus as Aryans and Dravidians. They claimed and declared that North Indians are Aryans and Aryan language Sanskrit. Tamilians and nearby states people were Dravidians and the root language Tamil. And Dravidians were entirely different from Aryans. Aryans came from outside as cattle rearers, shepherds and so on. They composed Vedas and Vedic literature, whereas Dravidians are black in color. Their deities are different. North Indian deities and South Indian deities are different. For Dravidians, Ganesha, Muruga, Kali and so on were the deities. Whereas in North India, Vishnu, Saraswati, Lakshmi, Parvati and Mahadeva, Brahma, Lord Krishna, Rama were the deities. And Sanskrit has got nothing to do with Tamil, and Tamil is an entirely different language. Whereas all the North Indian languages, the root happen to be Sanskrit. That is Aryan language. Tamil is Dravidian language. And Dravidians are the aboriginals of India. They were killed and wiped out by Aryans, and Aryans became the authority of India. So English people, including Lord Macaulay and for earlier period Max Muller, they tried and did their level worst to impose the idea that Aryans or the so-called Hindus came from outside, and first they wrote Rig Veda, then Yajurveda, then Samaveda and Atharva Veda on their way towards the central India. On their way to central India, the aboriginals, Dravidians were wiped out. I am not going to deep into the Aryan invasion theory, but I would just like to say this theory did not work anywhere in India, but it worked powerfully in Tamil Nadu. And an Englishman was expert in Sanskrit. He removed Sanskrit words, nearly 2,500 or 3,000 words, powerful Sanskrit words present in Tamil. He removed it and substituted it with Tamil words and declared that there is no Sanskrit words in Tamil at all. So Tamil is an entirely different Dravidian language. Dravidian culture different, Dravidian language different, Dravidian way of thinking different, Dravidian deities are different, Dravidian literature are different. So Dravidians are entirely different from Aryans. Ramaswamy Naikar and many atheists, in spite of the fact that internally they were pure Hindus, internally they were following the customs and rituals of Hindu Dharma, but externally for provoking the Tamilians, they were anti-Hindi, anti-Hindu and anti-Veda, anti-Rama, anti-Ramayana, anti-Mahabharata and against anything connected with Hindu Dharma. And Ramaswamy Naikar, being an atheist, flourished in Dravida Kazhagam, etc. And they became powerfully anti-Hindus. And you can see Ravana was worshipped, Ravana was put the garland and used to take as the procession in Tamil Nadu. Whereas Lord Rama used to get the garland of chappals, and always the figure, the idol of Rama got really mispresented. Ravana was glorified, and Ravana Yuddha was indirectly interpreted as Aryans destroying Dravidians. Ravana became the embodiment of Dravidian culture. Like taking Ramayana and taking Krinvando Vishwam Aryam word, the Britishers did their level worst to divide Hindus into Aryans and Dravidians. What was their purpose, you know? Very simple. Divide India and rule India. And inform the Indians that, inform the Aryan Indians that, inform the white-skinned North Indian Hindus that they came to this land earlier, hundreds of years ago, and that was known as Aryan invasion. You invaded to India first. Now we English people are invading to India now. So both of us, you Aryans and we English people, are all invaders. The original people in India, they are Dravidians, they are cornered to Tamil Nadu and other places. So Jawaharlal Nehru and JNU and the historians and W.M. Smith and many leftist historians accepted that Aryan invasion, and they stood with Englishmen, English historian, and declared that we are all Aryans, came from outside, English people came later from outside, and the original people in India are Dravidians. So this could get the courage for the Dravidians. Ramaswamy Naikar, Periyar and his people later on transferred to Karunanidhi, and they started harassing Hindu Dharma to the level worst. You may be remembering that there is a Malayalam movie known as Ayyar the Great. It could not be shown in any of the theatres because the real hero of that movie happened to be an Ayyar. Ayyar means a Brahmin. Anti-Brahmin, anti-Vedic, anti-Aryan, anti-Hindi agitation, all focused against the temples, against Hindus, against Vedic scholars. And remember that in the inner core, Karunanidhi was a best believer, used to perform puja every day just like the Marxist party people in Kerala. Their wives, the Marxist leaders of Kerala, their wives and their children used to be perfect believers, used to go to temple and do all vratas and other things. Exactly like that, even during the last period of Karunanidhi, you know that daily Veda chanting used to be there in his home. 11 Vedic scholars used to come and they chant for the Dirghayus, for long life of Karunanidhi. Every Friday puja used to be performed for the last 20 years in Karunanidhi's residence. Other than the Veda chanting, other than the Mrityunjaya Homa. But remember that this man, outside he is fully anti-Hindu, against Vedas, against Vedic scholars, against Ramayana. And this culture of fighting against Hindus, when they say against Hindus, they think it is against Aryans. But they don't bother that Rama came and stayed in Tamil Nadu. Rama temples are there. Madura Meenakshi temple is there. Chidambaram temple is there. Chola, Chera, Pandya, Rajavamsham, the king and the dynasty worshipped Lord Vishnu and Aryan Devada. Nobody taught them all these things. the poor Tamilians were kept in ignorance, in fully darkness, and they day and night, in their dream, in their vision, in their words, in their action, and everywhere, so many anti came together. Anti-Aryan, anti-Hindi, anti-Sanskrit, anti-Ramayana, anti-Veda, anti-Mahabharata, and everything. They themselves labeled that the Kishkinda people were labeled as monkeys. So Aryans labeled Kishkinda people as monkeys for harassing the Dravidians. Thus, in Tamil Nadu, we could see, and DMK got split into AIADMK for keeping the anti-Hindu, anti-Aryan viewpoint in the mind. They always fought against the sacred thread and Vedas, including AIADMK. AIADMK got split from as a part of DMK, and you can see, to keep in the mind of the people that they are always against anti-Aryans, they also kept that culture without fading from the mind of the people. So DMK and AIADMK and all other party, Makkal Katchi and all, they were focusing either with AIADMK or with DMK. Both were carriers of anti-Hindu, and they were carriers of splitting Hindu Dharma. And remember that one major part, nearly 10 crore people connected with the Tamilian culture, they always wanted to destroy Hindu Dharma. Remember that majority of those people, they used to go to temple, they used to perform puja, but still they are anti-Hindu. And the most criminal mistake did by Karunanidhi, which worked against Hindu Dharma, is that all the Vedic mantras and all the Karma mantras, Purana mantras, got translated into Tamil. And he declared that in every temple, Sanskrit mantra should never be used, only Tamil mantras should be used. Nowhere in India such a rule even thought to be implemented. But anti-Hindu agitation could take to a higher level when the pujaris, the priest of the temple, got harassed and they were belittled and degraded and even ignored from among the people in the society. And their Vedas and their mantras got thrown out, and they were compelled to learn Tamil mantras and use only Tamil mantras in Tamil Nadu temples if they want to get a 2,000 rupees salary per month. Only that much. Sometimes they may not even get a 2,000 rupees for 3, 4, 5 months. And temple properties were taken by DMK government and did their level worst to harass the deity and temple culture. Thus remember that Hinduism got a powerful shock, a powerful harassment, powerful degradation from Tamil Nadu. Now what is happening, that we will discuss in the next class. Thank you very much. Pranams to you.